Hi everybody, today is the last day of layout week and I'm going to start with a craft background, and I'm stamping a damask on it with colonial white ink from Close to My Heart. It's very slightly off-white versus a bright white ink, and it is a really nice white ink. You can see how bright it is even on the craft. And so I'm just going to stamp my damask 3 times. They don't match up perfectly right there in the middle. You can see there's a little bit of a gap, but I'm going to be covering that later, so it doesn't really matter. So next I'm going to start building my major page element, which is going to be one 4x6 photo and a bunch of paper strips. And my plan with this layout had been to do it heavily embellished, but that didn't end up happening, and I think it's because I used too many patterns of paper, but you'll see as we go on. So what I'm just doing is I'm taking a centering ruler and I'm using that to get my paper strip lined up so that there's a 1/4 inch border all the way around. And then I'm just going to keep adding my paper strips. They're not all exactly the same size. I just kind of cut them however they looked good to me, but they're all from the 6x6 pad of the Pink Paislee Butterfly Garden paper, which is a beautiful paper collection. I really liked it. I bought a ton of it because I never wanted to run out. So I'm continuing on. I'm adding my last piece of pattern paper, and again, because this one is on the edge, I used it to I used a centering ruler to get it exactly right. And now I'm taking a picture of a cat, and this is just a gray Scottish fold that a friend of mine sent me. It's not my cat or anything, but that's kind of what the layout is about how I talk a lot about how I don't like cats, but what it is I'm very allergic to them. And so I get really sick when I'm around cats, but I actually love cats and wish I could have a little Scottish fold exactly like this one. And I often find pictures of cats on the internet, just little cute cat pictures, and I send them to my husband and ask him if I can have them. And he always says no, because I'm allergic. So now that I've got everything laid out on my white cardstock base, I'm going to run it through the Distress It All by Zutter and really grunge up the edges. And I love the Distress It All. It quickly adds a ton of texture to something. I use it on tags a lot. That's mostly what I use it for. But it works great on photo mats as well. Pretty much anything you want to distress. And then I'm also taking one of my Sakura Pigma microns, and this is just in a brown color. And I'm just tracing kind of crooked doodly line all the way around the pattern papers and the photo, just to make a kind of a frame within the white frame. Just ties it all together just a little bit more, makes it look like one unit instead of a bunch of pattern papers plus a picture. So now I'm adding it to my layout, and you can see why it didn't matter that there was a gap in the stamping. And I'm going to add my title, and my title is going to be I Can Has This, which is LOL cat speak for I want this, or can I have this? And I'm sure everyone knows by now what the LOL cats are, but it's the funny pictures of cats with captions. And a lot of the pictures that I send my husband and that he sends me come from that website. It's all just funny pictures of cats, little sayings, and this is a common saying they have when the cats want something. And when I'm asking for cats, a lot of times this is what I'll say when I send him cat pictures or type or whatever. So I'm taking a piece of gray cardstock and a piece of white cardstock, and I'm using the Spellbinders Labels 1 and Labels 1 Small dies to cut them out. I was really excited when the Labels 1 Small dies came out because that made it possible to do a 1/8 inch mat on this particular Spellbinders shape instead of a 1/4 inch mat. So if you have Labels 1 already, and you didn't know that Labels 1 Small is out, it is, and it nests inside. And you can see when I flip this over how small of a mat you get when you use both of them, the two different sizes, instead of just using one set, either Labels 1 or Small by itself. And I'm just going to use some foam tape to pop up my little journaling spot and add it to my page. And there, now you can see how the mat of the gray cardstock is not overwhelming or too large. And then I decided, after I glued that down, that I wanted a strip of lace going up the side of the photo to kind of connect the two damask stamps to each other, so it all is kind of one lacy unit. So I just cut the lace so that I could stick it kind of under the edges of the journaling spot and piece it together that way, and it ended up looking fine. So you can always change your mind and add something later. And then my original plan with this layout was to do a heavily embellished layout. When I was planning the layout week, I thought I wanted to do one with a ton of photos, you know, one with quite a bit of journaling, and I wanted to do one that was heavily embellished. But no matter what I put on this layout, it didn't look right. I put pearl swirls, I put vines, I put flowers, I put butterflies, I put flowers I made myself, and nothing looked good except these three little buttons. So these are just plastic vintage inspired buttons, and they're in the shape of hearts, and I just added them to the panel on the side, and that reinforced the theme about how I love and want a cat but can't have one. So I added those three buttons, and then that was it for the layout. I wanted to embellish it up, but I just couldn't do it, and I don't know if there was too many patterns going on with the paper or the picture of the cat was too cute, but whatever the reason, this is what I ended up with, and I hope you enjoyed the layout, and I hope you enjoyed layout week.